Wow, that new God of War Ragnarok story trailer absolutely blew my mind during the state of play. There is so much to unpack here, from Kratos' duel with Thor to our first look at both new and returning realms, so let's cover all the reveals from the new trailer right here. If you're excited for that, then totally leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss anything God of War, and let's go. Quick reminder, if you want, you can enter our giveaway for the digital deluxe edition of the game via the pinned comment. Just make sure you are a subscriber if you want to participate, and we'll reach out to the winner just before launch. So there were a ton of epic shots in the story trailer, but the one that got the most hype was definitely that clash between Thor and Kratos at the end of the trailer. Them throwing Mjolnir and the Leviathan axe at each other and then colliding mid-air was so cool, and as spotted by Reddit user GodRaptor, Thor actually snaps his fingers to recall the hammer, which is a neat little detail. And a lot of things we're seeing here actually make me believe that this fight takes place near the very start of the game. For instance, Kratos does not have the Blades of Chaos in this fight. Not sure why, as I believe that shot of Kratos putting down his weapons is actually later in the game, but for a tutorial section it's definitely better to let players get familiar with one weapon at a time. Mimir is also missing, as is some other stuff from his belt, and the location for this fight is actually the frozen Lake of the Nine, I believe, as you can kind of make out the central room in the back. And we did of course already see the lake was frozen in previous footage, even showing we now use the wolf sled instead of a boat to get around. So all that together makes me believe this Thor fight is similar to the Stranger fight from 2018, with Thor likely returning later for a proper showdown, after which we hopefully get to take his hammer. But that's not the only amazing fight that was shown in the new trailers, as we also have this absolutely stunning combat arena where we'll be fighting not one but two Valkyries at the same time. We even have Sony Santa Monica themselves over on Twitter saying, "You guys did so well with one at a time, surely two won't be too hard." Well, I'm not so sure, because a couple of seconds later Kratos gets absolutely demolished by one of them. Thanks to the captions for the video, we actually learned the names of these Valkyries, Wrist and Mist. We know one of those is being voiced by Erica Lindbeck, as she announced this after the game's initial reveal trailer, but with that info we can now also confirm there will be more Valkyrie encounters than just this one. In case you don't remember, voice actress Yvonne Elizabeth Friedman also announced she'd be voicing a Valkyrie named Na, and with her not appearing here, we're going to have to meet and possibly fight her somewhere else. And the setting for this fight is so cool, and I think Redditor Cap Spaulding had the right idea by guessing it could be Ginnungagap. In Norse mythology, that is the space between the realms of Niflheim and Muspelheim, with the other realms being created when the influences from both Nifl and Muspelheim met in the middle. And that kind of fits the description here. It kind of looks like we are in space, except with clear cold blue and warm red touches in the sky, so it actually makes a lot of sense. But next to some amazing boss fights, one thing the new trailer also showed is the crazy enemy variety that we can expect in Ragnarok. There were some new enemies in previous footage, most notably the Grim, but now we have some really cool looking regular enemies and mini-bosses. There's this big rhinoceros-like creature that apparently we're just able to parry with the Guardian Shield, and it also has these glowing marks on its legs. I wonder if those are weak points that we're gonna be able to exploit. There's this armored warrior with a spear, which thanks to the video captions we've learned is actually an Einherjar, so that's one of Odin's warriors he trained for Ragnarok specifically. And I'm hoping these will be similar to the Travelers from 2018. These recurring mini-bosses drop pieces of their armor, which you could then bring back to Brock and Sindri to make your own Traveler-styled armor set. And whatever it is that guy is wearing, I want an armor like that for Kratos. There's also this animated pile of rocks and magma seemingly held together by this rune, which you can hit to actually stun the creature. It also leaves a trail of fire on the ground after an attack, so be careful for that. And you probably already guessed it from the backdrop, but that last fight actually takes place in Muspelheim. And while it of course looks very similar thematically to the realm in 2018, I don't think what we're seeing here is just another combat challenge. I think those large runic pillars in the distance might actually be a place we get to visit. We also get more shots of Alfheim, and the more I see of it, the more I believe something really bad went down after we left. Hell, on the other hand, looks pretty much like I remember it, although I'm sure that that realm still has some crazy surprises left for us in store. But what was most exciting to me is that we got our first look at a new realm, Vanaheim. These few shots of a lush forest environment have to be from Freya's home, right? To me it looks very different from the other realms, very colorful and vivid, but with this of course being Freya's old home, I assume it will be a very dangerous place place for us to visit. But lucky for us, Kratos is able to use some of his new moves to deal with these dangers. We see another use of the grapple with the Blades of Chaos here, but instead of pulling yourself up to a ledge, we use this grapple point hanging from a branch to launch ourselves forwards towards another platform to get the drop on these soldiers. And by the way, with the Einherjar also showing up here, that means Odin must be invading Vanaheim too. And speaking of the big man himself, we got some details on him as well, more on those in a bit. Another new move we can pull off is use the Blades of Chaos to throw a giant rock at enemies, as you can see here. I think these are the same rocks that showed up in the Game Informer footage, so this is another interactable object in a combat arena to make them more interesting. And finally, we're also able to spot another new shield for Kratos. This one looks great for offensive players, as you seem to be able to initiate a running charge and then launch an enemy into the air, following up with a combo to keep them stunned. And there's this interesting little shot from a fight with the Dreki as well, where it looks like Kratos and Atreus are teaming up for a finishing move. Would be awesome if we get more of those for different enemies. And like I said, one of the biggest reveals from the new trailer was our first look at Odin as he visits Kratos' house in a similar fashion to Baldur in the previous game or Thor in the post-credits scene. Now we only see his silhouette, and while he certainly does not look that intimidating, I think that we actually learn a lot about him from his dialogue in the trailer. He talks to Kratos about not wanting war, then later scolds him for never being worshipped, telling him he only thinks about himself. He's honestly giving me the creeps. He's being really manipulative here, and I think he might try and trick Atreus into thinking he is a victim in the hopes of turning him against Kratos. And even though he doesn't look that dangerous at first glance, I have a feeling we will end up fighting him, and I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. There's also another interesting shot tied to Odin in the trailer, and it's this white tree that is full of these spectral ravens, which we know are Odin's spies. I actually think this location is not in any of the realms, something similar to that little hut with Ratatoskr we saw on the Collector's Edition map, and those ravens definitely tie it to Odin. Next to Odin, we did get another character reveal, as this shot of Kratos running with someone on his back shows a new character, I think. We thought it could be Angerboda at first, but after looking at it some more, I think it's actually someone else. Jacob on Reddit had an interesting idea stating that it could be Freyr, stating the face looks pretty masculine. There's also elves in the shot who Freyr has ties to, and the Vanir magic trying to stop us is likely Freya, so that could be another clue. And I'd also like to point out the sword sheath on his back, as Freyr was noted wielding the Summer Sword, a weapon that was able to fight on its own. We also got a closer look at Freya's sword, as she uses it to pluck the mistletoe arrow that broke Baldur's curse from Atreus' neck. There's a lot more scenes with Tyr as well, and it actually looks like he'll come with us to Alfheim. And then there's this eerie shot of an eclipse, after which Atreus shoots an arrow and one of the wolves accompanying them leaps up and chases after it. Pair that with this tweet from Santa Monica itself, and I think it's pretty clear what we're looking at. The mythical wolf Skoll and Hati, who will start Ragnarok when they catch the sun and moon. So does that mean that Atreus is actually the one that starts it all? There's a lot of unknowns here too, like some of the locations we already mentioned, but there are mermaids now, there is a huge jellyfish that I really hope we don't have to fight, and while it feels like this new trailer did show a lot, it actually sounds like it's only the beginning. We got art director Ralph Grossetti saying that we haven't seen anything yet, and engineering director Jonathan Burke noted that we've barely scratched the surface. I personally can't wait to see what more they got in store for us when the game releases on November 9th. Remember to leave a like if you liked the video and subscribe so you won't miss any of our God of War content. If you want, you can watch our previous video on all the new gameplay details we got from the recent Game Informer footage. I will see you in the next one, goodbye!